Have you recently been arrested for domestic violence here in San Diego County, or has a loved one recently been arrested for domestic violence here in the county? If you've been arrested, a loved one has been arrested, or you're just interested in learning about domestic violence defense, stick around. I think you're going to like this video. My name is Dod. I've been a criminal defense attorney here in San Diego County for 18 years. My firm is Dod Law. I'm sitting here in my office right now, downtown San Diego, 303 A Street. We're located downtown San Diego. We're near the courthouse. And today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pretend that you're sitting right across from me, and I'm giving you a consultation on a domestic violence case. Now, we get hundreds and hundreds of calls for domestic violence every year. There are a lot of arrests in San Diego County for domestic violence. And if you've recently been arrested for domestic violence, I'm very sorry to hear, but I can tell you one thing: do not panic. Do not panic, because just because you were arrested for domestic violence does not mean charges are going to be filed. But everyone says, well, Dod, when I got out of jail, they gave me this bail paperwork, and on the bail paperwork, it shows that I've been charged with, a couple felonies. Typically, it's Penal Code, 273.5, Penal Code, 243, Penal Code 422, other, charges that they've hit you with. But what I tell all my clients is this: just because you were arrested doesn't mean that the DA or the city attorney are going to file charges against you. Why is that? Because here in California, we have something called this mandatory arrest policy, okay? So anytime an officer arrives to the scene of a domestic dispute, somebody's going to get arrested. So let's think about the reason why they have to do that, okay? So they go to the scene, and you and your girlfriend, you and your significant other, you and your wife, you and your spouse, there's an argument. And something happened for either you or for, the spouse to call the police, and the police show up, and for liability purposes, they're going to have to arrest somebody, okay? They cannot leave after there's been a call for domestic violence and just leave both of you in the same residence. They're going to arrest one of you for liability purposes, and typically they're going to hit you with $50,000 bail, and you're going to have these felony charges on you, and you're going to come to my office and sit right across from me and say, how could they charge me with felony? And I'm going to tell you, don't freak out, because just because you were arrested in no way means that they're going to file charges against you. Now, the typical type of case we get is where none of you guys called the police, right? You're in an apartment, in a condo, and a neighbor calls the police, and the police arrive because of this disturbance, loud noise that the neighbors are hearing. They think there's something going on, so they call the police come, and one of you get arrested. Well, Dod, she doesn't want to file charges against me. He doesn't want to file charges against me. What if the alleged victim doesn't want charges to be filed against you, right? So let's be clear. As defense attorneys, we cannot tell the victims what to say, because what's going to happen is a detective is most likely going to follow up with the alleged victim a few days after the arrest and get the story again and ask them whether or not they desire prosecution. Now, a lot of my clients say, well, what should the victim say? And I'm telling you, it is unethical for any defense attorney to ever give you advice on what a victim should tell the DA's office or the city attorney's office. All we can tell you is that if a detective calls you, you just got to tell them the truth. If the DA calls you, you have to tell them the truth. You can't change your story, okay? No attorney is going to tell anybody, what to say. You just got to tell the truth. okay? So don't put your attorney in the bad position by asking your attorney, well, what should they say if the detective or the DA's office calls them? I just say, if you want to go hire your own attorney and consult with your own attorney, you can do that. All I can tell you is that you have to tell the truth. And then the issue becomes, well, what if they say they don't want charges to be filed? And what I tell all my clients is the fact that an alleged victim doesn't want charges to be filed is just one factor for the DA or for the city attorney to consider on whether or not they're going to file charges. Because remember, in almost 90% of the DV cases that I get, the so-called alleged victim does not want charges to be filed. And the DAs usually have an expert witness that comes in and testifies as to why, someone's later on going to retract their story. And the most important reason, obviously, is that you're financially supported by this person you just got arrested, right? So if there's a financial motive, typically they're going to say that they don't want charges to be filed. The DAs know this. So just because you tell the DA's office that you don't want charges to be filed doesn't mean that automatically they're going to just throw the case out and dismiss the case. That's a factor for them to consider. So what you need to do in any DV case is you need to get a criminal defense attorney on board right away. My firm has been doing this for almost 18 years. I've been handling these types of cases for almost 18 years. What we need to do right away is we need to reach out to the arresting agency, the detectives, the SDPD, sheriff's department, whoever it was that arrested you. We need to let them know that we're the attorney on the case. We send them a letter of representation. Once the case goes to the DA's office, somebody in the DA or city attorney's family protection unit is going to get the case, and we're going to send them a letter of representation, and we're going to get a bunch of mitigation from you, your side of the story, what happened, and we're going to be in contact with them, and we're going to try to get the case thrown out before we even go to court. So let's just say hypothetically you were arrested on Monday, you bailed out, you have a court hearing coming up the following Monday. You need to get an attorney on board right away, because the attorney is going to have a few days to talk to the detective, get in contact with the prosecutorial agency, get all the mitigation from you that we're going to need to try to get the case dismissed, have a discussion with the prosecutor on your case, and then hopefully that's it. The case goes away, the case is dropped, and you will never have to step foot in a courtroom. And everyone always asks me, well, Dod, what are my percentages of my case not being filed? And it's impossible, and in fact, it's unethical for any attorney to give you percentages on whether or not a case will be dismissed or not. It's all a case-by-case basis. So bottom line is you're going to need to get an attorney on board right away to see if the attorney can try to get the case dismissed before we go to court. Remember, just because you were arrested doesn't mean you were guilty. Now, what happens if the case gets thrown out? Then we get a letter from the court that says no charges were filed. You can get that letter, you can give it to your bail company, and you're good to go, and you're a free man or a free woman. Good to go. However, if they file charges against you, even though your bail paperwork says, felony charges, that still doesn't mean that it could be a felony. Even if they file charges against you, it still could be a misdemeanor. It could be a felony, right? So you need to get an attorney on board. Why? Because number one, we might be able to prevent charges from being filed. Number two, we might be able to prevent felony charges from being filed, and then it becomes a misdemeanor. If they do file charges, then we're going to have to go to court, and we're going to have to start that whole process. I have several YouTube videos that you can watch on what happens at an arraignment, at a readiness conference. You can go ahead and watch those videos as well. I hope you like this video. If you've recently been arrested, I'm sorry. You can go ahead and give me a call, 619-814-5110. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Let's help the public get the help they need. Thank you and have a great day.